Hello and welcome into the PHNX Sun Show. I'm your host, Espo. He's Saul Bookman, Gerald Bourget in here as well. And guess
I can't believe this is my life. Let's go
to the new solar order as the Phoenix Suns have acquired Bradley Beal on Father's Day, and that means the Phoenix Suns are saying, NBA, who's your daddy? That's right, a new big three here in the Valley, gentlemen. And guess what? It only cost you Chris Paul, Landry Shamet, and some pick swapping. And this sounds like it's about the best deal that you could have gotten. I joked that they were shopping Walmart and not Nordstrom, but they were on their way to Walmart, and all of a sudden Nordstrom said, we'll take all your used stuff that you don't want, and we'll give you something high quality.
Hey,
Gentlemen,
don't sleep on Nordstrom Rack now. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Because that's exactly what the Suns just shopped at. They just got Bradley Beal for an expiring Chris Paul contract, Landry Shamet, and a bunch of second-round picks. Fleeced. Let's go, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, we underestimated the power of that no-trade clause that Bradley Beal held. The reports are suggesting that Phoenix was the only place that Beal wanted to come play. He wanted to compete for a championship with Book and Kevin Durant. And we've been saying it. Stars want to play with Devin Booker. We underestimated just how much. And he totally strong-armed an entire organization into coming here. So I stand corrected. We all stand corrected from when we were poo-pooing it on Wednesday. I don't give a shit. Like, it's cool. It's fun. There are going to be some real obstacles now moving forward to building out the rest of your roster, and we'll talk about that. But in terms of having a big three, which is rare in this current NBA with the punishments that they're doling out for teams that try to build that way, the Suns have one. So it's going to be fascinating to see how this all plays out moving forward now.
Look, build a bronze statue of Matt Ishbia outside the Footprint Center to match what his balls are made of, because he's got some big ones to say, you know what, we're going all in, and we don't care what it's going to cost. We will do what it takes to win. We went from having freaking Scrooge McDuck owning this team to Oprah owning this team going, you get a star, and you get a star, and you get a star. All right? We're allowed to be a little excited, because this is so far from the 10 years that we went through before. It's so far from the 18 years that we dealt with an owner that was trading guys that were valuable and a first-round pick just to get rid of them. This is a big deal in Phoenix, and you can try to rain on the parade in the chat. That's your prerogative, but you ain't going to stop us from enjoying this moment. Gerald, you wrote an article yesterday kind of looking at all this. How surprised are you at what actually went down?
I mean, I'm still fairly surprised. I am curious what the Heat were out to Miami, because either the Heat weren't interested.
Looks like we have bad Gerald Wi-Fi right now. That's okay.
Well, Saul, how surprised are you? We'll move to that.
Dude, I'm shocked. We talked about this on Monday about just really the cap ramifications there would be for a guy like Bradley Beal to jump aboard. Plus, I'm not going to lie, there is a little bit of anxiety when you look at that contract, how much is left and for the duration. But for the next 4 years, at a minimum, you're going to have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker, and then you have KD for another 3, which is phenomenal. If I had told you before the season, or actually before February, that not only would Matt Ishbia come in and change kind of the culture and the franchise, whatever, but that you would get Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal on the Suns for basically Chris Paul and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, I think every Suns fan would have signed up for that, if money aside. And the Suns have set themselves up for. Listen, I know cap-wise, there's some Olympics that are going to have to happen, or gymnastics that are going to have to happen, but there's still DA. There's still some flexibility in terms of trying to get some other valuable pieces that will create a little bit more depth than what you have now. But you got to be happy with the aggressiveness that Matt Ishbia and company are really driving with.
Look, I know some people are. I don't understand. They're upset with this deal. To me, if it had been DA, I may have said, maybe we should have thought twice, but you essentially traded a guy you were prepared to waive before the 28th of this month and a contract that you felt was too much. I mean, Landry Shamet was overpaid for what he was producing. You trade that and second round picks, which weren't going to amount to much anyways, and we don't know how many, and we don't know how many pick swaps or whatever. But when you look at it, you traded CP3 and Landry Shamet, and you land a guy that's in the top 20 NBA players. So now you have 3 of the top 20 guys in the NBA. And I get it. People are like, oh, well, this isn't the big 3 era anymore. Look how the Nuggets did it. Well, yeah, but there wasn't going to be a path where you were going to create a team that looked like the Nuggets. This is a path to create a team with some of the top tier talent, and you still have the trade chip and DA if you so choose to go that route. That's why I like this so much, is you didn't trade DA and then you were going to have to cut CP3, right? You traded 2 assets that you were happy to get off of, right?
Yeah.
And you still have the opportunity, if you want to go chase depth rather than having a big 4, you can trade DeAndre Ayton and still get that depth while filling in this team with, as I had talked about, shopping at Biyombo, Boban, and beyond. You still can do that to fill out the rest of the roster. I don't understand why anybody's looking at this and going, well, this is a bad deal. Yeah, it's a bad deal for Washington because they got strong-armed into it.
Yeah, I mean, hey, listen, for everybody that's kind of bitching about this, let's just say that for what it is. Yeah, I get it. You want depth. You want to build this roster because you just saw a team win the championship, and that's the last thing you remember. That's the last thing that you saw, and you feel like that we should position ourselves in that vein as well. Well, I'm here to tell you that why not have both? Why not have both? And I think right now, because you have a valuable trade asset in DA, and I'm telling you folks, I know people doubt DA and people doubt his value. There is value out there. There are trades that have been offered so far, and we'll get into those on Trade Machine Tuesday and such, that I know for a fact could provide the depth that you need to a certain extent, to give this team what it needs depth-wise. Like, it's okay to have both. And I think we just haven't seen that very much with this franchise, and that's what scares everybody. It's like, wait, how we just sacrificed this all-time great point guard, and we're going to get this guy that's going to cost us a lot of money. We should have, spread that out. Well, only if deals are there to be made. And right now, I don't know how many deals were offered for Chris Paul. That's the one thing I don't know about. And they saw a superstar in Bradley Beal, and they were like, yes, let's do it. We know this is a hit.
You were not getting an all-star for Chris Paul in any other way than this happened. And the only reason you wind up with it is because Bradley Beal has the no trade clause, and he wants to come play with Devin Booker, and he wants to come play with Kevin Durant. And, that's a big deal here. I get it. You look at it and you go around the league, but this is now 3 of the most talented players on the same roster. Let's go into some of the super chats. I want to thank everybody here. Frank says, happy Father's Day gift for y'all, or this is my Father's Day gift for y'all. Thank you for that. Then you got Victor here, or Libertarian Sasquatch, turning CP3 and Shamet into a top 20 player. Crazy. Yes, it is. And then we're looking at Victor Rene Gonzalez. Love that DA's staying. Gamble confirmed. Let's be clear here. Gamble confirmed DA's not in this trade. Does not mean he's staying long term. We're not sure about that. And then this is the big one. Our friend Brooks Sunwalker with the $50 super chat says, at Espo, requesting a humble but powerful, and I'll just do it. Matt Ishbia is the best owner in the NBA. Suck it, everyone. I'll give you that.
Not only that, but also, so I'm out here in San Diego, but we have Arizona peeps with me right now. They've been watching our show, and they're like, holy shit, they're right outside. So there you go. That's Donald from Valley Taproom, by the way. They're all excited about the Suns, excited about Bradley Beal coming here. Thank you all for those super chats. That's awesome. Listen, Espo and I, I mean, fuck, this is like routine for us. Like, this is what we live for. So, dude, this is a great day. This is a great day. And I know we shit on it on Monday, but you know what? I'm fickle like that. I'll change my stripes. I don't give a shit. I think this is great.
We crapped on it because we thought it was going to be DA. And you weren't going to have another move to make after that. When it's not DA, you now have another move to make. And people saying, well, you can't have 3 max guys on the same team. Guess what? You were going to have 3 max guys if you kept DA. Now you now you have 3 max guys that are better and the opportunity to trade the 4th guy to get you the depth you need. I'm going to keep harping on that. That's the biggest thing that came out of this is that flexibility.
Yeah, 1,000,000%. Again, I would look at a team like Orlando for possible depth. Just throwing that out there in regards to DA. I'm telling you, folks, we have seen the Lakers do this for decades. And I know the rules are a little bit different right now because of the second apron and blah, 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 blah. But teams have always been able to manage themselves around these sorts of situations. The Lakers have done it for decades. The Warriors just did it for the last decade. I mean, hell, the Warriors paid Kelly Oubre something in what equates to $84 million after the luxury tax for basically nothing. Like, why not us? Why not us? Like, we have the opportunity to do it right now. So let's do it. We have the opportunity. So just embrace it. And listen, you now have 3 of the best players, top 20, as you said, Espo, and definitely 2 of the top 10 in the NBA. You have somebody that no matter what happens with Devin Booker and KD can hit the open shot, can create his own shot, can get you a bucket. Guess what? During the regular season, when things, start to get a little, you start to walk through the sludge of the regular season and, things get a little bit, monotonous, give a star a rest. You still got 2 on the floor. Like, you just traded a 38-year-old Chris Paul for a soon-to-be 30-year-old Bradley Beal. That's a tremendous upgrade. And I know Chris Paul is one of the legends. I'm not discrediting that at all. And I truly hope he finds a ring at some other point in his career. But for right now, as a Suns fan, as somebody that has been watching this franchise for decades, this is a good move for the franchise. It might hamstring them down the road. That's true. But in these next 1 or 2 years, you win a title, it was worth it.
Let's be honest. This team was all in for the next 2 years anyways, the second that they told Brooklyn, we'll make this deal. So why not double down on that and do everything you can to win a championship? Everyone wants to talk about Heat culture, Heat mindset. The Miami Heat under Pat Riley would always go for it. They never worried about 4 years from down the road. They said, what's a chance to win now? You go get guys. You do things to make it happen, right? I'm all for Matt Ishbia's mindset here. He doesn't care what he's going to have to pay down the road or what he's going to have to do 3 or 4 years from now. The point is win now, win next year, win over the next 2 years, and none of this matters. No Suns fan's going to be like, I can't believe they mortgaged the future for 2 championships or for 1 championship. Like, nobody cares. We've never seen this in Phoenix, and I'm fine with it. Do something to get better. Last summer, we were pounding the table that they made no moves, right? Well, since February, they've now made the 2 biggest moves in the NBA. Right? We saw a new owner come in. They get KD the next day. Now they're going in on Bradley Beal, and they're not done yet. That's the thing. They're not done yet. So to me, you can sit there and you can give into the, oh my gosh, the Suns can never get anything right, blah, 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 and give into that mindset, which we all have at some point. I'm guilty of it. Or you can accept it doesn't always turn out like that. And if you're going to win, you got to do something different. And this is different. You now have 3 stars, 3 top guys. You've never seen that in Phoenix. I know somebody will say, oh, Nash, Amari, and Marion. Not like this. No. Barkley, KJ, Marley. Not like this. This is something truly special. And that's the chance you take. If you don't win, you can have, hindsight's 20/20, and you can say, oh, it didn't work. Okay, fine. But I'd much rather take this ride than sit there and hope that you were going to do something else, you know?
Yo, listen, maybe I'm creating a phrase right now, but you got to embrace this Suns life. Suns life, baby. That's what this is. This is a new era. This is a new way of really thinking about how your organization operates. And for so long, we've been kind of trained to feel like destiny was always against us. You know what I mean? But this is a new age. And so it's about Suns life. That this is what we're creating. We're creating a new way to look at this. It's something I said on, I think you put it in Discord, like, would you sacrifice, 5 years of losing for a championship now? And I said, you know what? I'd much rather start to embrace a championship culture than one that's destined to fail all the time. You know what I mean? And I feel like we've lived that life for quite a while, and I'm tired of it. I want a championship. I want multiple championships. I think for Suns fans, it's time to get greedy. Let's get greedy. Let's get that first one, and then start talking about the second one and maybe the third. That's what I want us to start to embrace. So that's what I think Suns life is all about, and that's why this is all changing. This is all changing. Matt Ishbia is changing the whole game right now. Like he's changing the culture from outside, and we've got to adapt to it and change the culture from the outside.
I agree. And look, no disrespect to CP3, but this is his final assist to this franchise. Him coming here was the marker of things are different. They can get better. Him leaving and helping them get Bradley Beal, hopefully, is the marker of things are different. They will win. And that is something that, again, I give all the thanks to CP3 for what he's done here in Phoenix, what he helped achieve, what he's now helping them get, right? And it seems like if this is the framework of the deal, people are asking about the math. The math is like this. I'm pretty sure, based off of what I've heard and what Gerald has told us, this means Washington has to guarantee more of Chris Paul's money for this year. Maybe they'll accept it all and then waive and stretch him and do that so they still save the money. Because even with this, with all of CP3's money this year and Landry Shamet's for this year, they saved $200 million in the long run. They just got a new GM and president of basketball operations out there. They're trying to start over. They're trying something different. So this helps them financially, and it helps the Suns win now. That's why you do it. Plus, you add in Bradley Beal saying, I'm not going anywhere unless you trade me here. That's how this all gets done and why it makes sense and why it makes sense financially, right? That's how this all works out. And then there'll be first-round pick swaps because you can't trade actual first-round picks and second-round picks, which at this point, I guess you're all in on doing this with veteran minimums and your big three.
Yeah, and the pick swaps to a certain degree are kind of irrelevant too because if the Suns find a way to stay relevant and good, those picks are going to be in the late first round anyway, if not one of the last 4 or 5 picks of every first round. So you're not losing much there. You're probably going to keep those actually because you're not going to swap those out because Washington's probably going to have a worse record than the Suns in the long term. So listen, overall, great deal. I do want to say 2 things. Chris Paul, I've already talked about, like, tremendous. 2, I know I've been very hard on Landry Shamet, but he has been a total professional in every shape of the word. He's been absolutely awesome in terms of how he deals with the media, even going through the struggles and talking about it. Gerald has talked about it, and I know if Gerald was here, he would say the same thing. And so I think that needs to be acknowledged. I come from a very fan-centric point of view, and I know I've been hard. Some of it's a joke, and some of it was just because he just wasn't playing very well. But I do truly wish him the best and hope he gets another opportunity to thrive over in Washington. Additionally, Gerald did tweet that Chris Paul will not be able to re-sign with the Suns, so don't think about that because if he's waived, there's no way he could come back anyway. So go ahead. That's what.
There is one way. If they turned around and traded him to another team and then that team cut him, but I highly doubt that's coming. Look, when you look at it, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, all guys that can handle the ball and distribute. So we may live in a world where there's no true point guard on this roster, at least in that starting lineup. I don't know. It's going to depend on what Kevin Young and Frank Vogel want to do, but now they have a lot of options in front of them. What I think they need to do if they're going to move DA is find a true defensive center, a guy that can go out there, rebound, and really play good defense, because we know the path to the West goes through Nikola Jokic, right? And that's going to be a key. You're never going to stop him, but you need a guy that can at least slow him down and grab some boards. If you don't think that's DA, you got to get that in the next deal. That's important. And if you can find a point guard, that's something that is also a nice add-on. But I'm not freaking out based on the three guys that you have now on this roster.
No, not at all. Not at all. You're looking at, okay, let's say worst case scenario, DA doesn't go anywhere. You keep and Campaign comes back, and so Campaign moves into that starting lineup, or he doesn't, and you just go Beal and Booker, because it's kind of hard to envision one of those two playing the three at some point. So you'd probably keep them at the 1 and the 2, and then you would have either Kevin Durant or another small forward at the 3, and then vice versa at the 4. And then you need a DA at the 5, or you trade DA and you fill those positions and you get some depth. I know one of the things that the Suns have kind of demanded from teams in regards to a DA trade is, yes, they want depth, but they also would really love to have a backup or a guard that can step in and play at the point guard position. So I know that's something that they are seeking. I just think by any facet outside of the money, and I know the money is going to come into play, and we'll probably get a better picture of that as we move forward. And I know you guys will discuss that on Monday and Tuesday. But I think this is a good deal. This is something that puts you immediately at the top of the contenders for a championship. You just got to make sure that chemistry and harmony are at a peak. We've seen Kevin Durant join super teams before. He's won championships before with them, and he's also, I mean, the Brooklyn Nets were a disaster. But I think you have three individuals that are all about ball more than those three individuals in Brooklyn, kind of similar to what they had in Golden State, and I would be shocked if this doesn't work out.
Well, look, when you look at what happened in Brooklyn, one guy couldn't play any of the home games because of a stance that he took. So I don't count that. And no disrespect to Steve Nash, but he was a first-time head coach that hadn't dealt with large personalities like that before as a head man. Frank Vogel did it in LA and won a championship with it. So I'm not overly concerned about that. And somebody in the chat, and I apologize, I don't remember who it was, but said, why are you being reactionary to Jokic? Teams have to now be reactionary to what Phoenix is doing. And I think that's a good point. How do you defend these three guys? You could barely defend the two guys in Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. And now you got a third guy that's just as good and shoots 37% from three for his career. He actually shoots better from three for his career than Devin Booker has. So now you got another threat that can hit from deep. And this is before we know what the rest of the roster looks like. So to me, this becomes a team that other teams have to plan for. And now I assume Frank Vogel's going to take that mindset. We saw Monty Williams, and again, no disrespect here, but the truth of the matter was he played reactionary to the opponent a lot. He did not force the opponent to play to your strengths. He would change lineups. We saw it in the second round. He had Torrey Craig. He was cooking in round 1. He pulls him for Josh Okogie in round 2 as a starter because he was trying to react to Denver. I don't think Frank Vogel plays that game. I think Frank Vogel goes, here's my guys. Come try to figure out how to solve us. Oh, and you know what? They're going to bust their ass on the defensive end because that's where I'm a specialist. So now you got to deal with the offense, and you're going to have to deal with the defense that I'm cooking up here. I think that is where things get interesting here, because this is not going to be just an offensive team. Everybody wants to assume that because they have the offensive talent, but you hired a guy that's defensive minded. You're going to build the rest of the roster around that hard-nosed defensive mindset, and you're going to get the most out of Beal, Booker, and KD because they're playing for a guy that believes in it and will encourage him to get there. I love this.
No, I agree. And everybody's talking about Bradley Beal's not good on defense. He's not good on defense. And that's a great point, Espo. You got Frank Vogel, a defensive-minded head coach that's going to change the way they play on defense. They got after it those first couple of years under Monty Williams, and then it kind of just faded away, and people started to lose their responsibilities, not understand what the concepts were over and over again. Now you have Frank Vogel come in. I definitely think he's the guy that can turn that around on the defensive side. For Bradley Beal, I'm really interested to see. Listen, his numbers went down a little bit. Yeah, I totally get it. But it's hard. It's really hard unless you're at the beginning stages of your career, like Devin Booker was, when you're trying to make a name for yourself, to keep that motivation, that energy, that focus day in, day out for a franchise that is losing their ass every single game. Like, it's just really hard. And I think Bradley Beal coming in here is going to get revitalized. I think you're going to see a completely different Bradley Beal, kind of like what you saw with Charles in Philadelphia when he was successful, don't get me wrong, but he went to a whole nother level when he got here. He was top 2 player in the NBA for about 2 or 3 years straight. I think you're going to see a similar jump with Bradley Beal now that he's got a energization. Is that the word? I don't know. It is now with Devin Booker and Kevin Durant. I think that's one of these aspects that I think when you're talking about the value for the money, you can see the value, because I do believe Bradley Beal will be that dude when he comes in.
Bradley Beal is now the third option on a team. Let that sink in. Bradley Beal is now the third option in Phoenix. He doesn't have to carry the weight. He has to hit the shots when Devin Booker and KD get him open looks. Or he has to step up when KD or Book is hurt or take a night off. That's the beauty of all this. All they need to do is get the rhythm and be healthy for the playoffs, and you got it cooking.
You remember that clip where Bradley Beal was talking to those high school kids, talking about, if you're thinking about the league, just remember you got to guard me. I'm that motherfucker. Like, you got to guard me. That's what I feel like practice is going to be like. Oh, yeah, you're Devin Booker? Hey, just remember, you got to guard me too. And I bet those practices are going to be intense as hell, because those 3 dudes are definitely all about ball. Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, and Bradley Beal. That's also the thing that I think people are sleeping on the most with this, is that you have 3 guys that don't give a shit about anything but trying to ball as best as they can. And that's a beautiful thing. If you're talking about, kind of an identity of this franchise, it feels like all about ball is the identity. That's all these guys are going to care about.
Look, to all the Denver fans who have stopped by the chat, enjoy Larry. Just don't get comfortable with him. All right. You can say we're whatever, we're overreacting. You guys had fun last week. We're having fun now. We'll see you in May or June, and we'll figure it out then. All right. Yeah. That's where I'm sitting. Let's get some more super chats. $5 super chat here from Tony. Does this pretty much confirm that we're in the second apron with the payroll? Let me say this. Put on that second apron, get in the kitchen, and let's start cooking. All right. The apron doesn't matter. Who cares about the salary cap right now? That's stuff that you figure out. You deal with the consequences, the repercussions, and you just take care of what you need to. Now, Brian, $5 super chat says, all the trade took was 2 Saul feed picks. Maybe
that's what I'm saying, baby.
Like 5.
That's what I'm saying, baby. Should I get him back on the beach right now and do it again?
God, please no. Rob Mathis or Maletta with a $5 super chat. Why are our Suns fans so happy? Beal's not a winning player. He'll just add to the Suns' legacy of choking. I'm here for it. Hey, Rob, you're not going to rain on this parade, but thanks for the $5.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thanks. We got Edward here. I'm a Wizards fan, and he might show up in 2 out of 4 quarters of the game. He's insanely good player when he's on. When off, you forget he's there. And well, guess what? When he's off, Katie and Devin Booker are there. I'm okay with it. Let's look at Libertarian Sasquatch, our friend. Rob, then what's to lose? I love it. Hey, well, we got super chats responding to super chats. And then we take a look here. Eric, $4.99 says, Suns have never had this much talent on a team. Matt Ishbia is spoiling us Suns fans. This is wild. I think that is probably the most accurate of all feelings we've heard here. Let's shift and take a look at, well, actually, let me respond to this. Hello says Espo had to give up his soul. Also had to do with show his teeth. One punished me, one punished everybody else, I guess.
I fleeced the system, Espo. I fleeced the system.
Let's take a look at the next part of this, though. We've talked about it, touched on it a little bit, but the next domino to fall, I imagine, will be DeAndre Ayton. Do you think this team can really keep DeAndre Ayton and try to compete with 4 guys at the top like that and trying to fill it in all with vet minimums? Or do you think it's a fait accompli that that the Suns are gonna have to move on from DeAndre Ayton?
I think you're playing a dangerous game to a certain degree if you keep DA and all you're relying on is vet minimums, because that's all the Suns will have at that point. But guys will want to come and play for the Suns to try and win a ring on a vet minimum deal. That will happen. I would say that the level of bench player will be increased from a year ago, but your best option is to trade DA to get valuable assets that you know can contribute immediately. That can not only be serviceable, but also a reliable option from a certain point of view. So whether it be offensively or defensively, I don't really care. You got enough on offense, I believe. You just need some good guys that can hit open shots when they're going to be given those opportunities, because they will be given those opportunities. And then defensively, that's the big thing. Defensively, do you have the dude to be able to rim protect that you need? Now, if Frank Vogel can change DA, then yeah, cool. But we just haven't seen that. And I'm kind of tired of thinking that coaches are going to be the ones to change DA, because DA is going to have to change himself. And DA just has not proven that he's that dominant, shot blocker enough to be that threat. He did a serviceable and great job in the finals year 2021. Don't get me wrong. But even if you look at those stats, shot block wise, he was good, but he wasn't phenomenal. It wasn't like he was blocking shit into the second row like every freaking attempt. So you need somebody that's going to be able to be a force at the rim. So I think for me, DA being moved is probably the more sensible option. But if you keep DA, then you're also saying you got Beal, Booker, and DA for 4 years. And is that something that the Suns want to walk away from or not? And also, let's not forget about, yes, the tax apron is here. Yes, it's a thing, but remember that revenues will increase as well down the road. I think next year, if I'm correct,
new TV deal will come in a year from now. Correct.
Yeah, so the numbers won't be as egregious as they currently are. So there's a little shifting, and I think listen, the Suns have talked at length about this. They've broken down the numbers. They've tried to figure all this out. I have no doubt that they have a vision for where they want to go, and they're trying to execute it right now.
Yeah, I feel like you have to trade DA. And maybe it's not now. Maybe it's at the trade deadline. Maybe you play with him, in the first half of this year, up his value, and then deal him. But I think you do it now. I think you look at it, and you look at the deals that are on the table, and we've heard 3 different places. We won't get into it necessarily, but we know that there's at least 2 that are seriously interested in DA. Yes,
So I can't pull up this on my phone, but I saw something drop down. Woj just tweeted about there will be a slight holdup in the deal, I believe, to try and allow Washington to facilitate a third team into the trade. So I'll
read you the full. I'll read you the full tweet. Part of the reason for the holdup on full completion on Wizards Suns trade will be allow Washington to field offers from a third team that would give Chris Paul a chance to land with a contender. So I'm okay. Like, this is done that Bradley Beal is a Sun. They're doing the courtesy of letting Washington see if they can get some additional assets and getting Chris Paul where he wants. But this is done regardless. So
also, let's not overlook the fact that Bradley Beal is the one that wanted to come to Phoenix. He didn't want to go to Miami. He turned that down. He had full control of the situation. He wanted to come to Phoenix. That is huge, Espo. That is so huge. Like, a star in the NBA outside of our organization and outside of the West is like, dude, I want to go to the Valley.
For two-time,
that's awesome.
Twice in the last 4 months, we've had top talent in the NBA say that. This is a different Phoenix than it has been for the last 18 years. This is a Suns franchise that's finally back to its 90s roots where players want to come here. Full potential. I got laughed at last year when I said Phoenix is a top 8 market. And guess what? I was wrong. It's a top 5 destination market here in terms of best fans and in terms of where players want to play. It's just right now, you can't argue that with Beal and KD wanting to be here in Phoenix. And you call me a homer, and that's freaking fine. I'm fine wearing that hat when it's truthful. I mean, it's just the truth. This is where players want to be right now.
No other players or no other fans in any other city would say otherwise about their own city. So, like, listen, if you got KD and you got Bradley Beal, you be as high as we are right now too. So deal with it. Deal with it. And the only people that have any room to talk about any of this stuff, I'll give you the Nuggets fans. I'm not going to shit on their parade. They beat us. Cool. But, you know, our good friend Mitchell out there in DMVR was talking about, all this just to get beaten 6 games by the Nuggets. No, correction. All this because we did get beat in 6 games by the Nuggets. And guess what? We're fucking turning the tables this year. Watch out next season, baby. I'm ready.
Look, they're 1-1. We beat them to go to the finals a few years ago. They beat us, got to the finals. They finished the job. I think the rubber match is coming in May or June, and I'm fine with that. Let's let it happen on the court. I can't say anything. You guys can chirp if you want to. From Denver, you won the championship, and I'm not going to argue with that. You guys got the better of us on that. This is now, our counter move, and that's what you do. Yeah, you counter move when things happen. This is the Suns counter move, and there's a few more coming. Back to DA, and we know there's at least 2 teams interested in DA, and I think with a couple of these deals that could potentially be out there, that you can find the additional depth. You can get a guy, that either can play point, play center, maybe both in a deal. Obviously, they won't be as good as as DA's potential or as good as Chris Paul was a handful of years ago. But the guys that can fill in things, maybe even a bench piece, if you want to go that route. And I think that's the smart route. Get 6, 7 guys in here that give you the depth there, and now you're really cooking.
I really feel like Ishbia is just sliding fucking UWM stock to people under the table. Like, hey, hook me up with this player and I'll slide you this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how this is happening. I just don't. Like, it's pretty fucking awesome, man. That's all I gotta say, man. It's just awesome.
Mac with a comment in here. Mac for a better tomorrow says, Espo and Saul, you don't have to be sunshine pumpers. You can also realize that this has a huge downside. I didn't deny that. I said 2-3 years down the road, there's going to be a price you have to pay. And you have to figure out there may be a way out of that too. But right now you look at this year and next year, and that's all you can look at because that's what you put yourself in when you traded for KD. So you make this deal and you go, okay, there is down the road, you're going to have to deal with the punishments that the NBA has put in place to discourage teams from going over the second apron. Your pick moves to late first round, which if you have a pick swap, that's actually not all that bad now, because if you're bad and it moves to the back end of the first, what difference does it make if you've pick swapped then? Or they freeze draft assets if you go over the apron multiple times, which again, if you've done some of this asset trading, I don't know how the NBA is going to navigate that. But I can worry about that 2-3 years down the road. If they don't win a title in the next 3 seasons, yeah, you mortgage the future for a chance and you failed. But I'd much rather mortgage the future at a chance than stand pat and still not necessarily win the title. Yeah. I don't think that this team, this team is better than it was at the start of last season. It is.
Oh, yeah.
I love McHale. I love McHale's potential. Cam Johnson, love his potential. But if you're going to say Bradley Beal was injury prone, look at Cam Johnson. There's no guarantees in life or in basketball. So when you have an opportunity to grab onto it and go for it, you can either choose to stay where you are and hope it gets better, or do something proactive to try to make it better, right? And I'll bring this a little personal. When we were looking at PHNX, I was sitting in a spot in my life where I was making comfortable money, but didn't particularly like what I was doing. And this is a startup. You take a chance in a startup, and you know you may pay the price 2 or 3 years down the road. But I can sit here and I can be, not okay, not liking what I'm doing, but financially I'm in a good spot. Or I can take the chance to do something I love and try to achieve something more. You take that chance. Maybe it's not in your nature, and that's fine if that's why this is making you nervous. But what they did was they looked at where they were and they decided, you know what? 3 years down the road, we'll figure it out. But right now, we've got to put ourselves in a position to do what we came in here to accomplish. Matt Ishbia from Word One said he wants to make this a top-notch franchise, one of the best in all of sports. How do you do that? You make bold moves. I applaud it.
Hey, there's nothing to be sad about today. I think this is a great day. This is a great day, and that was a tremendous story, Espo. I say that like I didn't know that, but it's true. Nothing in life that's worth going for doesn't have inherent risk to it, and this is another example of that. We've never won a championship, people. We need to win a championship, point blank. We deserve one. We are the winningest franchise without a title, I think, in all of sports. Like, it's our time, and it's okay. It's okay to be scared. It's absolutely okay to be scared. We're here for you. We will help comfort your fears, but I'm telling you what, that champagne's going to taste fucking amazing whenever it comes, and I hope it comes here in the next couple of years, because we have the team and the players, more importantly, that want to build the culture to such a degree that it warrants it. It warrants a championship. So, a great day. Hey, happy Father's Day, man. I'm telling you, this is fantastic.
I mean, do people not remember the timeline era and going through all that rebuilding and slogging through that with a bad owner? This is the reward coming through it, right? This is what we've all been waiting for. So embrace it. Yeah. Look, it's not A, not our money. B, we don't know where any of us are going to be in 3 years. So why not enjoy the now? Why not buy into the now?
But Matt Ishbia, if you want to throw a couple shekels, Espo and our way, hey, if you're giving it out, we'll take it. We'll take it.
I agree. And I'll eat crow on this. I thought that Suns fans had ridiculous expectations, but I did not take into account. Let me say this: I did not take into account the power of a no trade clause, the power of somebody saying, no. I'm in control. The future of your franchise ain't in control, Washington. I am, and I'm calling the shot because it's player empowerment time, and I'm going to Phoenix. And I completely overestimated that, because if you told anybody in a world that Bradley Beal doesn't have a no-trade clause, that the Suns are trading Chris Paul at 38 and Landry Shamet for Bradley Beal, they would have laughed at your ass and told you to keep walking, right? But the reason he's coming here is because he wants to be here and wanted to be here over being part of Heat culture. So take that into account too.
There you go. Hey, it's fantastic. The other thing I was going to say was that you have a window, and the window of time is now. It's going to be fun to watch this team try to pull it. I tweeted about an hour ago, I think maybe 2 hours ago now, that this week was going to be fun. It was going to be crazy, and a lot of shit was going to be moving. I had no idea within the next hour something crazy was about to happen. And I think it's only going to get a little crazier. For whatever the offseason was last year with the Kevin Durant and the lack of movement in the offseason, I feel like this is going to be counteract to that. It's going to counteract that. And so I'm excited to see what this week holds, because I do feel like there's going to be some more moves made. Two
things that I think there's probably at least more likely makes happen this offseason. They have the bird rights to Jock and Torrey Craig. You can go over the cap even further for your own guys to re-sign. My guess is both of those guys will be signed at the end of free agency period. They both will be back, because that gives you additional depth. without having to worry about how do you make the numbers work. So those two guys, I would imagine, are back as part of this for sure. And then you've now flipped on the bat signal to all the other guys that are looking for a ring that, hey, you got a home here if you're willing to play for that vet minimum. Let's figure out how to make this happen. We'll give you whatever. We'll give you playing time and a chance to get that ring if you come here.
I'm about to text Jock right now after we get off this show, and I promise you he's going to be excited about this. I can't imagine. I know Jock has been a fan favorite. I know he wants to come back. I was wondering if that opportunity is going to remain. I definitely feel like that. I would be shocked if that did not happen, just because you don't have many options, and so you got to keep the guys that you have under your control. I would expect Campaign to come back. I don't think that they would shop him and trade him unless it's part of a deal to get a better guard. I just don't see that happening. So right now, I would say those three guys are definitely in the fold. Then you got to hope that maybe you can get Josh Okogie back, and there's a lot of other factors that are going in. Like I said, these guys are going to break it down all week. I won't be back until Wednesday, but Espo's got it covered along with Gerald and Lindsay. And dude, this is going to be a fun week, man. I can't wait.
One point before we go, Saul, I know you want to get back to vacation, and I've postponed a dinner for about an hour here. But let's talk. Matt Ishbia may be playing 3D chess because Josh Bartelstein, the president of basketball operations, the 32-year-old, actually not basketball operations, the CEO of the team, was hired from Detroit. Came in here. Everybody's like, 32-year-old president of the team. That's an interesting move. Guess who's the agent of Bradley Beal? Bartelstein's dad. Matt Ishbia playing 3D chess here while everybody else is standing around going, why is he hired a 32-year-old? I don't know if
that's
happened,
why.
But I'm gonna say that may have played a little bit of a part with that. So hey, whatever it takes. Well, whatever gets you there, you got to do it. Saul, I will let you go. I know it's Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to you. We will be back tomorrow, 3 p.m. from the studio, unless something else crazy breaks. Then we'll be there live for you whenever it happens. But we'll be back 3 p.m. tomorrow. Myself, Gerald, Lindsay will break down more of the details on the trade. We'll start to look forward to what is next and how that comes about. So we'll get you all there. He is Saul Bookman. You can follow him at Saul_Bookman. You can follow the show at PHNX_sports. Thank you to Emma behind the scenes, who is, I think, has been in a nap every time we've had a major thing break. So take more naps, Emma. Espo, you can follow me at Espo. And remember, you may not like it, but today's a good day for the Suns. Ahoy, hoy.
Baby.